turkey. Why do we have a turkey with us here today? Well, we have turkeys here in Ontario. However, that wasn't always the case. In the early 1900s, they were hunted completely. There was none left to be found anywhere. So what happened in the 1980s is the Ontario province decided to reintroduce them into our habitat. Releasing over 4,000 turkeys over several locations in our province allowed their numbers to thrive so much that they figure this day and age there's probably over 100,000 of these guys wandering our province. Now, if you've seen one, probably in a farmer's field, they're eating up there for free and a little bit of a pest when you consider that. But they're not just eating the grains, seeds, and grasses, they're also feeding on insects and keeping those insect populations in control. Now, as I said, she brings with her a wonderful message of conservation. She's done a great job for us here today, so time to head on home. Off you go, my dear. Cut our turkey. Program. So we'd love to introduce you to one of the ambassadors of our program. This here is Benny, one of the blue throats that hatched right here at African Lion Safari. We have hatched 10 of these birds here on site. Why so excited about 10 birds? Well, unfortunately for little Benny, he is a critically endangered species. You can only find blue throats living in the wilds of Bolivia where their numbers are ranging under 500 individuals. Put that into a better perspective, if you were to have a look around here right now, there's more of you sitting in our audience than there are of his wild counterparts. So what we've done is we have joined partnerships with the World Parrot Trust. This organization works with parrots in need in their wild habitat. Turning them as a research and as a breeding partner, we're hoping to make a nice impact on their wild numbers in the near future. And we certainly did take a really big step closer to that this past September in 2023. Working with the World Parrot Trust, government bodies in Canada, and in Bolivia, we were able to move 8 birds from our park to their range country in Bolivia. What happens next? Well, those 8 birds contribute to the breeding reason, and one reason alone. All of you joined us on safari today and became conservationists with us. We certainly appreciate it. I know little Benny does. Please give yourselves a big round of applause. Well, now that we've covered some of the more serious stuff, we're going to bring these birds up nice and close to point out some of the key characteristics that help them stand out as members of the parrot family. Now, the first attribute you may notice on these birds are their bold, bright, and beautiful colors. Macaws are native to South and Central American tropical rainforests, meaning they use their bright colors to help blend in with their surroundings.
Can he talk?
Matching those green leaves, red and yellow fruit, as well as the bluish shadows all around them. Next up are those feet. Parrots have what we call zygodactyl toes. Now, what exactly does that mean? They're going to show you. This is just a fancy way of saying they have 2 toes pointing forward and 2 toes pointing backwards, unlike most birds which have 3 in the front and 1 in the back. Now, this gives them an exceptional grip when perching onto branches, allowing them to use their feet much like we would use our hands, which comes in handy when grabbing onto pieces of food, bringing it up to their beak to break into smaller, bite-sized pieces. Now, a fun fact is that parrots exhibit left and right-footedness, much like we exhibit left and right-handedness. However, unlike us, parrots are more commonly left-dominant, as you'll see over here with Benny. Here is actually our odd man out today, being the righty of the group. Next up is that large beak, which can exert up to 700 pounds of pressure, but also having the ability to support their entire body weight. Now, not only is that beak used to eat, but parrots also use it much like a third foot, making them very acrobatic by nature. Now, to see these birds in flight is quite the sight. Those beautiful wings give parrots the ability to fly at up to 50 to 60 kilometers per hour. Now, that's about as fast as we're driving through those towns and cities that we've lived in. Last but definitely not least is that long tail in the back, which can be used much like a steering wheel on board, shifting side to side, acting as a counterbalance, and can be fanned out, putting on the brakes for a nice, soft, and safe landing. Well, I think Benny and Fever have done an excellent job showing off their unique characteristics to us today, so let's hear it out for them.
Yay! Let's go!
Well, the next bird we'd love to introduce to you might not be the most colorful one out here today, but he makes up for it in his own way, as his species is one of the most intelligent parrot species in the world. And I think he would agree with us when we say that. Yes, he does. This here is Reggie. Reggie is our African gray chimney parrot. Now, Reggie may be smaller than some of the other species brought out so far, but do not underestimate him, as his intelligence can be compared to that of a 5-year-old child.
African Greys are avid learners throughout their entire lives and have been known to learn up to 1,500 words. Now Reggie here knows nowhere near 1,500 words because his favorite thing to say is a quiet hello. A very quiet hello from Reggie today. It's their ability to learn how to speak that makes them a desired pet for many, but unfortunately the harmful practices used in trapping them for the global pet trade has led to a stark decrease in African Grey wild numbers. Now those capture and transport methods used are often harsh, dangerous, and inhumane, which unfortunately means that up to half the parrots trapped do not survive the journey. Now the good news is that there are organizations that work with government bodies to help these birds in need. Not only do we find that pretty exciting here on safari, but so does Reggie. A very excited Reggie out here today. Now we certainly believe that birds as remarkable as Reggie deserve proper care and a safe environment to call home. Did you have anything else you wanted to add today, Reggie?
Hi.
There we have it.
Was that actually him?
Good job out here today for us, so let's show him
Not
our
every bird sounds like Tony. Tony's just a different kind of bird.
He literally just said,
Found all the way on the other side of the world in Australia, Indonesia, as well as the surrounding islands, are members of the parrot family known as cockatoos. This here is Petey. Petey's an umbrella cockatoo. And being a parrot means she speaks as well, but you're certainly going to notice a difference with her little voice. Let's see if she gives everybody a big hello today. Isn't that sweet? Well, guess what? They are some of the loudest members of the parrot family. When they call out, they register in at about 135 decibels. Means nothing to you, a rock concert usually goes in at about 120 decibels. So don't imagine just one, but an entire flock of them flying over your head, chatting away. You can imagine just how loud that is and how they can be pest species in Australia. But what really makes them different amongst all parrots is they have feathers on the top of their head that they can lower and raise at will to communicate with one another. So in order to see Petey's crest today, we're going to give her a big round of applause because she loves attention. What do you think, Petey? So fabulous. How beautiful and how wonderful is that? Now, as I said, she shows hers when she's excited. However, quite often we tend to see them using it to look a little bit more large and intimidating. Never quite the case with our little angel here, Petey. She's done a great job of showing off what makes her so different. Let's hear it for Petey, our umbrella cockatoo.
let's go!
Now, our next group of birds are in fact a trio of birds native to Africa, seen typically wandering the grasslands. Coming in from the backside are 3 helmeted Guinea Fowl. Now, as they make their way in on a wing, that's a little unusual for them. They usually have a race to who can get there first, but they typically travel on foot, weaving in and out of the long grasses, being able to be right on the same plane as where all the favorite things that they are like to eat. Just like a turkey, they look very similar to a very unusual chicken, and that's absolutely correct, as they're part of the same group of birds. Here in North America, people started keeping them on their properties as they help to feed on the insects on your property, especially pesky ticks. Now these 3 have done a great job giving us a little laugh, so let's hear it for the 3 of them today.
Woo!
Well, the next bird we'd love to introduce to you is a little bit shy, so we're going to need you guys to make some noise for his grand entrance. So stomp your feet, clap your hands, drum roll for the national bird of India. This here is Parker. Parker is an Indian peafowl. Now these birds are commonly known as peafowls, with males being peacocks, females peahens, and young pea chicks. Now we know that Parker here is a peacock because of those bright blue colorations to his neck and his head, as well as those long, elaborate train feathers. Those train feathers are commonly mistaken to be tail feathers when they're actually modified back feathers. Males will typically begin to grow their train at about 2 years of age, and with each passing year they will become longer and more elaborate, reaching their maximum splendor at about 5 to 6 years old. But having a long train like that can weigh a peacock down quite a bit, so when the breeding season is over, they will begin to lose those train feathers one by one, starting in August, and regrow them in the next breeding season. Well, Parker has done an excellent job showing off his sheer beauty for us today, so let's hear it out for him.
Woo!
Well, another major factor limiting parrots' ability to survive in the wild is the loss of their nesting sites. Parrots make their nest in tree cavities, meaning that logging, agriculture, and uncontrolled bushfires can make breeding in the wild quite challenging. One thing that is being done to help support wild breeding where natural tree cavities are not readily available is to provide man-made nesting sites, such as the one Pepper, our scarlet macaw, is hanging out by. Our partners in conservation, the World Parrot Trust, has added over 100 nest boxes to the wild, and that's for a variety of different parrot species where they can rest and raise their young. Now we here at African Lion Safari have had our own success in adding nest boxes for our parrots. Which brings me to the next bird we would love to introduce to you. Coming on out from the side is Peow, and Peow is a green-winged macaw. She actually hatched out right here on safari 10 years ago, and in fact so did her mother back in the 1990s. Now, certainly one of the most fascinating aspects about being a bird is that lots have the ability to fly. Of course, not all species can, but out of the ones that do, we here at Parrot Paradise like to say that, but for birds, it's a means of survival. They may be up in the skies to forage for food, locate a mate, seek shelter, or even to make that long migration between their summer and winter homes. But I think we can all agree that Peow is quite the stunner, so we figured the perfect role for her in our presentation today would be to fly over the lucky heads of our audience members. Our personal trainer, Andrea, is going to bring her all the way up into the stands there to give her the go-ahead to fly on over to the target today, which is that back corner. But in order to do that, she's going to need a little bit of help from all of us, so why don't we give her a big countdown from 3, shout take off at the end all together. On my count, 3, 2, 1, take off! I don't know if you guys are loud enough. Maybe we should try that again. Ready? 3, 2, 1, take off! Now she may just be admiring all of you in the audience today, or maybe she's waiting for that perfect moment in the wind.
That's quite the gust up there. That's why we keep going a little bit down. Just like an airplane, birds like to launch themselves up right into wind. They certainly don't want it going every which direction, right, Peow? What do you say? Make it a little easier on her. Take her down to this front corner. And the hardest flaps are those first few flaps for our little Peow. She has to use all those muscles to get her going. Are you thinking about it, my dear? There we go. Off and away. Tail steers the stop, and she's done it for us. Well done, Peow.
Now we've shown you many amazing character parrots so far, but there is one thing they are well known for. Can anyone shout out what birds do everyone wants to hear? Yes, it is talk, sing, all those things. Now, contrary to popular belief, it's not the larger species like our macaws that make the expert talkers. There's actually the smaller ones, such as our budgies, cockatiels, African greys, and of course, those Amazons. Joining us today, the star of our presentation, we have our yellow-naped Amazon, Fernando.
Now, Fernando here is not just the star of our presentation. I'd like to point out that he is the veteran out here today. Little Fernando has turned 34 years old this year.
Oh my god.
Very
He's
impressive,
older
but
than all of
parrots
us.
do live an awful long time. One his size living anywhere from 50 to 60 years. Large macaws have records of living up to 100 years. So for him, I just like to say lots of years of experience and training and practice means he has a lot to say. So let's get him started. Pretty cheerful. Now he's always been polite, so his favorite question to ask the audience? A little mumbled, how are you? But I see some lovely smiles out there today. Now, we pointed out his name. It is Fernando, but we happen to call him Nando so much. It's the way he likes to introduce himself, so do tell everybody, what's your nickname? Yeah, that's right. Sings it out nice and loud, thinks he's pretty important out here. Now, parrots are playful by nature. His favorite game to play, I think you guys know this one. Loves being tickled. Now, what happens when you're tickled? We laugh. So does he. It gets him chuckling, that's for sure. Now, he's our master of sound effects. He's picked up a few living with us. So first off, we're going to start with the sound that we make when we drink a nice cold glass of water. Nice thirsty chug on there. Fernando's heard us cough once or twice, so he's picked up on that sound too. Few little coughs, and we've been working on some animal sound effects. This is his impersonation of a pig. Little bit rude, but we're not done yet. Why not bark like a dog? Not sure who he thinks he's scaring with that bark. Obviously talented though. His talents actually extend musically, loves whistling, singing, and dancing. So we'll warm up with some dance moves today. Shall we dance? Alright, he's in the mood to dance, and that means hopefully he'll give you a nice little tune as he makes it up as he goes along whistling.
That bird knows how to whistle. I don't know how.
That's so cool.
Wow, Fernando definitely outdid himself there. Alright, that was pretty impressive. His singing, well, unfortunately, poor little Fernando's been learning to sing from us. So we can say not the best at it because he's picked up from our cues a little off key. Use your imagination in order to recognize this tune, but we will start off by warming up his voice. All right, he's all tuned in. Shall we sing? Pretty appropriate for this long weekend. Now, you're probably wondering, why would a little green bird found from South and Central America love to sing "O Canada"? Well, the thing is, don't have parrots native to our country, but all the ones you're meeting here have hatched in Canada. Obviously very proud of that fact and loves this weekend, so let's hear that again. Beautifully done. Give it up for Fernando today. Now here at African Lion Safari, we believe that the first steps in conservation is education. So hopefully you've had some fun meeting birds, you've learned a thing or two, but maybe you have a question. Now if you really want to come on down, have a better look, ask those questions, we invite you to do so. But we also want to remind you before you head on out, around the corner, down the path, in our bird of prey conservation area is our next bird of prey fly-in demonstration of the day. Once again, thank you so much for joining us and do enjoy the rest of your day here on Safari.